What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Burning Hammer podcast. I'm Mark Izzo. He is Dillon O'Brien, and we are your hosts. And in this episode, we will be giving you our WrestleMania 41 Night 2 match card predictions. On last week's episode, we did Night 1, and this week we are doing Night 2. So if you want to go and check out our Night 1 predictions, you can head over, I believe it is episode 99, which is our most recent episode before this one. You can check out our Night 1 predictions, and then potentially you can come back and listen to Night 2 and let us know what you think about all of the matches that we think are going down at WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. So, Dillon, why don't you kick us off with your first match?
So yeah, I had a lot of fun booking this night 2 of WrestleMania. I do want to say this specifically. A lot of these matches that I have booked are not matches that I'm super confident will happen. A lot of these matches are, they're definitely very possible of happening. Some of them, there's a good amount that we just haven't had like a ton of hints toward yet. So, I think that I have some bolder predictions that I really, I'm not necessarily super sure that they're going to be on the card, but I really, really want to see them. And with that being said, I do have to say, we'll get into it later, but my main event of night 2, with all that being said, is something that I really don't necessarily want to see, but is something that I think is going to happen, which is why I booked it. But the rest of this card, I'm pretty crazy about. So, I'll start it off with a dream match, right? It's
okay. Love them.
It's a dream match, and it's one that I think is flying under the radar. Not a lot of people are quite thinking about it. And it's a match in the women's division. And that is Becky Lynch taking on Jordynne Grace in her first WrestleMania appearance. I think this is a great way to get Becky Lynch on the card, to get Jordynne Grace on the card. I mean, I think we're all very, very confident that Jordynne Grace is WWE bound at this point. It's not official as she's still under TNA contract, but we just saw her show back up in NXT last night. She lost the TNA Knockouts Championship recently. So she is almost definitely WWE bound, I would have to say, especially considering how much. I mean, she's still very young. Like, she's very similar. I mean, not just because she's incredibly ripped, but like her and Rhea Ripley have a very similar trajectory and like kind of similar story to where they were pushed into these kind of bigger roles as really young wrestlers, Rhea in WWE and Jordan in TNA, and then and everyone thought that they were like kind of ready for it right then, and it's not necessarily that they weren't, but now a few years down the line, they're not old, they're entering their prime, and the two of them are bigger stars than you ever could have imagined them ever being, really. And that's, so I think no better way to introduce Jordynne Grace to the WWE Women's Division by putting her up against pretty much the face of your women's division for the last decade or so, and that's Becky Lynch. And we haven't seen Becky in a while. It'll be Jordynne Grace's first WrestleMania appearance if it does happen. And like I said, it's a dream match, really. So I'm really hoping it happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great call. I know a lot of people would love to see that match. You know, you kind of have the classic story of like the veteran against this new like young up and comer. You know, and obviously Jordynne Grace is like one of the hottest women's wrestlers going on currently, so she's definitely on fire. So I think that's a great call, Dillon, and I'm interested to see like where or if Jordynne Grace does end up signing with WWE, I think it's pretty likely along with Joe Hendry, because obviously Joe Hendry just lost to Nick Nemeth for the TNA Championship. So I think that he's also a good contender to potentially be on this card. I don't have him on the card because I just didn't want to get that risky quite yet, and it's tough when we're looking about 6 months into the future and trying to figure out how to book things. But maybe at the Royal Rumble, Joe Hendry will make his debut. So who knows? But I love that match, Dillon. And so for my first match, I am going to go with Pure Fusion Collective versus Damage Control. I think I'm going to decide that it's going to be a tag match for the women's tag titles.
Okay.
And so it's again, especially 6 months in the future with the women's tag titles, Lord only knows who's going to be holding them at that time. Regardless, I think that these are the two biggest women's factions currently. And so I think that they're really going to start to get like a strong push over these next couple of months. And hopefully, obviously, we are recording this before Crown Jewel. So in case they end up winning the titles at Crown Jewel, we're not aware of that. But I think that I was trying to get some more women on the card, and I was trying to think of non-title matches, and I think that this is a good feud-on-feud, or a good faction-on-faction, that could cook as a feud. So Pure Fusion Collective, I think, is taking on Damage Control. If not a tag team match, then a little bit of 3-on-3.
I really like that, Mark. And like you said, same with me with the Becky and Jordynne Grace. I really wanted to try to make sure we have multiple women's matches that don't have a title involved. I'm really hoping they go that direction because of how talented this women's roster is. I kind of miscounted originally. I said I had 8 matches. I have 9, actually.
Okay.
So there's a good chance that obviously not all of these will be happening because there's just not likely. These are all just hopefully some of them, you know what I mean? But I just had a lot of ideas. So the second one is keeping it in TNA and keeping it on topic with the guy that you just said. Say his name and he appears. Joe Hendry is here in WWE, and he will make his debut at the Royal Rumble. And I think he is going to eliminate and then go on to start a feud with Drew McIntyre. And then Drew McIntyre versus Joe Hendry at WrestleMania. So I did this partially because I really don't know what they're going to do with Drew at WrestleMania. He's obviously going to be on the card. I wasn't going to leave him off the card. And I think this was a good way to get him on the card, to debut Joe Hendry. They're both from Scotland. I think
they have history.
They have history. They've come across each other multiple times in the past. So I think Drew McIntyre versus Joe Hendry could be a really fun feud and a really good way to introduce Joe Hendry to the WWE universe, and also get Drew McIntyre on this card in the big star way that he is. I think they could really cook up in this feud, and then I think Drew getting a big win here over Joe Hendry doesn't squash Hendry. I think it makes Drew look good. So yeah, it's just it's something I think makes a lot of sense for both of them, really. So depending on where things go with Drew.
I mean, yeah, it's again another great match, Dillon. I would love for Joe Hendry to be on this WrestleMania card. And I think that they could just have a situation to where he is at that time like the most over wrestler on the roster if they book it properly. Like he could be such a massive star if he, like you said, debuts at the Rumble. I think a fire first feud for Joe Hendry, it would be The Miz as well.
You are right. That would be
Him
a great
and the
first
Miz
feud.
would fucking cook.
I think so. The reason I say Drew is because I can just really picture, for some reason, like Joe Hendry come in. Like, it's nothing personal. He debuts at the Royal Rumble and eliminates Drew, and that's like Drew's like big thing. He needs to get back to the title now that he's done with Punk, and Drew just like loses it because of that.
Yeah,
and he's like, "You want to come in here to my company that I've been doing, blah blah blah, whatever." So I think it would be good.
So I'll keep us on topic with Mr. Drew McIntyre here. Again, similar to you, this was a guy who I was struggling to figure out what to do with. And I had another guy that I was also kind of struggling to figure out what he's going to do at WrestleMania. And so I decided what better way than to have these two guys face off against each other. So I have Drew McIntyre challenging Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship.
Okay.
This is, again, I think you just have two big, meaty guys going at it. I think that it could be a lot of fun in terms of the feud. I think it could cook. I think you could give Braun Breaker, again, a big win over a big star. But again, it just kind of comes down to, like, I just have no idea what they're going to really do with Drew. So I think that if they're not quite sure what to do with him, just put him in a feud with Braun Breaker and at least let him help elevate Braun Breaker. And then you can kind of figure out where to go from there.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That was definitely a match I did consider as well, was Braun Breaker versus Drew McIntyre. I went with the triple threat match that was on the last episode if you want to check that out. But I really like the idea of that match, and I think it would put Braun Breaker in a really good spot. My only worry with like the whole thing is that I'm just like, I don't think Drew can take another loss after this Punk feud. So
Yeah.
maybe, I mean, they have time to have him win a feud before he starts a Mania feud, though. So, depending, we'd have to see. But that would be my only thing with it. But, oh my God, it would be a banger, man. But that's the other thing is, like, Braun needs to probably go over as well. So, I'm going to jump
hold
right
on
in.
to that title for a little while longer.
Agreed.
Not like 2 months, like before.
I'm going to jump right in to a legendary match between two legends. Ton of people have this one on their card. Good chance it happens. And there's a almost positive if it doesn't happen at WrestleMania, it's at least going to happen. And that is John Cena taking on his biggest nemesis of his career, Randy Orton. I think the two of them going head-to-head just feels right. I think it's very likely to. I think this is one that's likely. I think there's a good chance this happens, depending on exactly what their plans are. But I think this is probably one of the top options for what Cena's going to be doing at Mania, I would assume. So I think it would be a good way for they could go a bunch of different ways with it. Really, they could have Orton go mega heel again and go back to the old days. They could do it two legends just going at it one last time to see really who's the better one. There's a lot of different ways they could go with it. I always thought career versus career would be the way to go, but in this situation, it just doesn't feel like that's what would happen, obviously. And definitely doesn't feel like the way to go, but I think Orton versus Cena one last time at WrestleMania would be pretty cool thing.
So, I mean, yeah. You don't have to sell anyone too hard on John Cena versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania. I think career versus career would be awesome, but obviously Cena said he's wrestling for the rest of the year, so I'll go to my match because I also have John Cena on the card, and so the first thing I thought of was John Cena versus Randy Orton, but then I'm kind of sold on the fact that Orton's going to be Cena's final opponent later in the year. And so I think he's going to wrestle somebody else at WrestleMania Night 2. And I think we're going to turn the clock back to where you have your mega baby face against your mega heel. And that's going to be John Cena challenging the ring general Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship.
I like it, Mark.
I think that obviously Gunther getting the win here, these guys could cook in a feud. I think you have the big bad heel in Gunther. Obviously, Gunther's improved a ton on the mic over the past few months.
Let me just say this real quick. I think Gunther's number one in the world right now. I don't think there's anybody. I don't think there's anybody in the world who's better than Gunther right now. I think this world title run has, he's always been able to do well on the mic. But ever since he got this world title, he's just taking it up a notch to me. He's gotten so much more comfortable in his own. He's got a lot more personality rather than just I'm going to protect and honor this great sport. You know what I mean? There's so much more than that now. And he can go that. The promo with Cody, dude, they were right, neck and neck. Gunther, that was a moment for me because Cody's so good. Whether or not you think Cody can be a little corny or cheesy and stuff at times, he can go on the mic. Whether or not you think it's cheesy, he's gonna have an answer. He's gonna have a good response. And Gunther was just hitting him with everything, man. And he was just and not that I was shocked by any means. It more just kind of made me realize damn, Gunther really is just might be the top guy right now. Might be best in the world. That's what I got. That's all I wanted to say.
I mean, you're not going to get an argument from me on that one. You guys let us know in the comments. Do you think Gunther's the best in the world right now? But I think they're going to save Cena versus Randy for his final match, which I don't know what their plans are or if they even have plans for Cena's final match, but you got to assume it's going to be in his hometown. And I can't remember if it was you or if I saw it online, but someone said to build just an entire PLE based off of John Cena's last match and just have John Cena's final match kind of be a PLE and then have him main event it in West Newbury, Massachusetts. Was that you?
I don't think that was me.
Okay.
But that's a great idea.
Yeah,
I think
that'd be sick. So, yeah, Gunther versus John Cena. I think if you let these guys cook for a while, that this is going to be a big money feud. And obviously Gunther getting a big win against John Cena is going to do wonders for him, especially you'll kind of see him be able to stand toe-to-toe with John Cena on the mic as well, and you'll kind of just get a lot of really good stuff from there. So John Cena challenging Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship is a match that I feel pretty confident about.
Yeah, man, I love that. No argument for me here. I would love to see that. As much as it would pain me to see Gunther lose that match, I would love to see Cena go over and get 17. But I would also love to see Gunther go over and prove that he's really the top guy now. So it's one of those matches. I always like a match that I'm okay with either outcome, you know? So always going to be okay with that. Right now, I'm going to go to the World Tag Team Championships. They are currently on the Judgment Day. But they won't be for long because the return of Eric and Ivar, no. War. The War Raiders are back, baby. We haven't talked about it too much, but thank God, man, the War Raiders are the War Raiders again, and they are hot as ever. Because the War Raiders...
Can I just say that they fucking rule?
They're so awesome.
We probably talked about it on the podcast before, but they're so good.
It's not even that. It's not even like a hot take. I think people know how good they are, really. And they're just gonna excel so much more as the War Raiders too. Like they're just not like boxed into that Viking gimmick. You know what I mean? Because now it's like the War Raiders can go a lot of direction. Like they can just be badass. They don't have to be Vikings. So I was super hype, and so where I'm going with that is that they're gonna win the tag team titles. They just became the number one contenders on Raw this past week. They defeated American Made and Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio in a triple threat match to become the number one contenders. And I think they're going to take the titles off of the Judgment Day. And then I think they're going to carry those titles all the way to WrestleMania. And I'm not sure what the result is going to be in this WrestleMania match. But I've got your World Tag Team Champions at the time are going to be the War Raiders, defending in a fatal four-way tag team match against American Made, Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee, and for Axiom, Nathan Frazier and Axiom, your current NXT Tag Team Champions. I think at first they really did kind of feel like this team that was kind of just like put together last second. They had styles that could work with each other, but and God, you got to have so much respect for guys that are just going to take something and just run off with it, and boy, have they. They are an incredible tag team. I do think that they both have big potential in the singles division, especially in the mid-card. But honestly, I think we've hit a point with them. I think they're going to go farther as a tag team than they will in singles competition. They are so good as a tag team. So I think they'll get the call to the main roster somewhat soon, and I think we're going to see them at WrestleMania. I think they could kind of have a debut similar to, it won't be quite as similar because they're actually a tag team and they're not going to get thrown together. But like when Aleister Black and Ricochet first came up onto the main roster and they just threw them together because everyone was they were so over and they were like, we have to have these guys on the card, basically. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And then, so I think it can be kind of similar where they're like, dude, let's just put them in the WrestleMania match. Who knows if they win? But I think that would be a really fun match. Fatal 4-way. War Raiders, Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio, American Made.
Love it.
Fraxium.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, they love doing multi-team tag team matches, and they seem to always just tear the house down at WrestleMania. So this one would be an absolute banger. Was it last year or the year before where they had, I think they're on the kickoff show, and they had that awesome, I think it was like a fatal 4-way tag match.
Yeah. Was that Stand and Deliver?
Okay. Was that Stand and Deliver?
Fraxium, you're saying?
No. At WrestleMania,
Ricochet
they had like
and
a
Aleister
kickoff
Black,
match.
you're saying?
No. Like 2 WrestleManias ago, they had like some tag match, multi-person tag match on like the kickoff show, and they just tore the fucking house down, and everyone was like, "That."
Oh
match is
no,
the match
bro,
of the
that
night.
wasn't even. That wasn't even on the kickoff show. I remember that was on the card.
It was on the card.
Yeah, it was on the card. It was like the
Okay.
WrestleMania showcase match or whatever. I remember because it was. Yeah, I remember like the Street Profits went crazy. Like Montez Ford had a couple insane spots. Yeah, dude, that match was insane.
That was awesome. Yeah,
I think that
was
that
awesome.
the match where
So,
he just ran and jumped straight over the post. Do you know what I'm talking?
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah, like
Yeah,
that was
he
one
went
of the
flying, dude.
Dude, it was one of the craziest things ever.
Flying.
Yeah, that was crazy. So I think honestly
Yeah.
it'd be similar vibe to that. Just tear the house down.
Yeah, I mean, let them go out there and prove something. So before I get into my next match, Dylan, what do you say we do a little bit of a segment here? Because I got
All right,
something
let's do
for
it.
you, Dylan. All right, so this is going to be a take kind of on a would you rather situation. I have 5 different scenarios for Dylan, and we're going to see which one would he rather have happen, and you guys can play along as well and comment your answers wherever you're listening or watching this. So, first up, Dylan, would you rather have Randy Orton tie the record for most world championships won in WWE and have Cena never break it, or have Cena break the record and never have Randy Orton win another world title?
Oh, that is rough. See, never win another. Because he's at 14 right now, right?
Right.
So he would have to get
extension.
So he would have to get 2 more to tie it. Which, and you're saying he can't even get 1 more. He can't even get to 15 if I choose Cena going to 17.
Right.
As much as I love Randy Orton, I love him so much. I have
Not
to
enough,
go Cena.
Apparently,
I have to go Cena.
Okay.
Because,
That's fair.
And I think for the greater good, Ric Flair has had that record for a long time, and he's been honestly like
few asterisks in there.
Yeah, and he's also like obviously he's been he's done some questionable things throughout life. The main thing I'm trying to get to is that like it's time. It's time to give that. I think Cena holding that title record alone is more important than Randy winning another one. As much as I hate to say it.
Okay.
I think, especially going into the Netflix era, I think, like I said, having it on Ric Flair was great because of how popular he was, and he kind of transcended wrestling into pop culture, and it's really good being able to say that guy's the record holder or whatever. For certain reasons, as much as there's reasons that you might not want to be proud of it, Cena's the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
it's got to be Cena. As much as I love Randy, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, tough call there. So, also, don't they include Flair's like WCW championships in that in his 16 as well? That's where I thought the big controversy was.
Yeah, they include his NWA championships.
Okay.
I think that's what it is.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, there's also kind of some stuff.
Or
like
they
that.
might include his WCW ones too. I don't think so though. I think they include his NWA ones. Like I think he won the NWA world title like 12 times, and then like only won it in WWE.
Okay.
a few times. You know what I mean?
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's also the other thing when like you have a guy who's just like strictly WWE titles, like you may want to kind of push him to the front of the line for that. So let's move on to our next Would You Rather. So would you rather have Cody Rhodes never come back to the WWE, or would you rather have AJ Styles never debut and sign with the company?
Damn. I have to say I'd rather have AJ not sign, because of how big a star AJ was, and especially now with AEW and everything, he would have been fine. As much as it would have sucked to not see some of those matches that we saw. And I say it's also a little bit easy for me because if Cody never returns to WWE, I don't see that main event of WrestleMania last year in person.
Greatest main event of all time.
So I was there live and in person and got to see that. So I kind of have to pick that, but a little bit biased there.
All right. Yeah. I mean, again, it's a tough call. But I think it's like you said, like, man, but you would miss out on a lot of good AJ matches in WWE.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's not an easy decision to make, but yeah, just because of that.
So, here's one that I liked. So, Would you rather have Jey Uso win the WWE Championship or have Jacob Fatu win the World Heavyweight Championship?
Like right now?
I'll say not immediately, but they will win it at least once, and the other will never win the world title ever. Also, we're going to get into the Bloodline stuff on next week's episode with Jey losing the IC title and whatnot. So stay tuned for that.
People might kill me for this, and I'm going to get a lot of slack because I always make fun of you for being a Jey Uso hater. But I got to go with
You're not going to get any slack from me.
I got to go with Fatu.
All right. My man.
I'm just such a Jacob Fatu guy. He's a little bit younger. I just love Jacob Fatu. I don't even want to say anything more.
That's all right.
Cause yeah,
people watching and listening know what to do.
Yeah, man. I love Jay, but I gotta go with Jacob.
Hey, man. You know I like that call.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next one. We have, would you rather have Brock Lesnar come back and beat Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship? And this is all like right now. Or would you rather have Ronda Rousey come back and beat Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship?
I'd rather have Brock.
Okay.
As much as that would like
That's fair.
pain like Ronda Rousey, like at least Brock, like at least
what if
Brock
I told you it was a squash? What if Brock squashed Gunther? Like 2-minute, like Brock versus Kofi, and he squashed him. Would that change your mind at all?
Yeah. Then I would go to Liv. Just because I think Gunther is more important.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I think Gunther's a lot more important.
Yeah.
But, like I said, I think Gunther's so good that I think Gunther can recover from anything.
Okay. That's fair.
So.
That's fair.
It would suck, and I don't like. But I have a lot of confidence in Gunther to be able to recover from anything. With that being said, I might take it back because with the state of the current women's division, even regardless of the squash situation, I think with the state of the current women's division, like maybe it's a little recency bias because of that moment we got on NXT last night with all 10 of those women in the ring. That's literally what I'm thinking about. But I think Gunther's a little bit more important to the future of WWE than Liv, essentially, is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, so, like, I think, although I do stand by, I think Gunther is so good and can recover from anything, if booked properly.
Okay.
And, like, just given the opportunity to recover, at least. I won't even say booked properly. Like, if he's given the opportunity, I think he would recover fine because of how good he is. But, like I said, he's just a lot more important to the future landscape.
Makes sense. So, let's move on to the last one. Would you rather have the Shield triple threat match main event a WrestleMania? We'll say WrestleMania, that could be WrestleMania 42.
I'm going to stop right here. It's going to be hard for me to pick something over that.
Okay. Or would you rather have John Cena versus Randy Orton in a double retirement match in John Cena's hometown?
Nah, Shield triple threat.
Okay.
Shield triple threat, main event Mania. That was the easiest one on the entire card. On, like, the entire list. Bro, Shield triple threat at WrestleMania is my dream match. It should be the dream match of so many other people. Like, if I had to choose one...
Can it happen?
Yes, it can happen.
Okay.
It will happen.
I'm with you.
It will happen. It literally... Mox will come back even if it's just for fucking 6 months, just for that feud. Like, he has to. He fucking has to. I can't say it won't happen. I can't believe that it won't happen. I have to believe that it will. You know what I mean?
Like 5 years, WrestleMania 45 comes back to Philly.
Hopefully sooner than that.
I think that would be something that's kind of like when they're all kind of towards closer to the end of their careers as like one last hoorah.
Well, here's the thing. If Mox comes back, you can't not do it right away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if Mox comes back, it's happening the next WrestleMania. So,
well, that's what, because like I think Mox only comes back to do that.
I kind of agree.
Like, I don't think he comes back and like for any other reason. Like, he's going to come back. If he is going to come back, it's going to just be for that match. I feel like it would be like he'll come back for like 3 months, do that, and then sail off into the sunset.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because like he always talks about he's never going back. But like if you give him, say, hey, listen, we just want you back for the Shield Triple Threat main event WrestleMania Night 2, WrestleMania 45, Philadelphia.
He has to, dude. Like, he has to know. He I don't even, like, John, like, he deserves it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to speak for him because obviously he can do whatever he wants, but like, I think he owes it to himself. You know what I mean? Like, and with him leaving and coming back, it makes it so much bigger. Like, this is a match that we wanted however long ago. And the fact that it never happened at WrestleMania, at least, and we only got it the one time at like whatever Fastlane or whatever it was. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Can't talk about it.
Yeah, I can't believe they fumbled that.
Well, this is the other thing, though. It's like, if they did do it, we would not be in a situation now to where that would be... That's the biggest match of all time. I don't care what anybody says. That's bigger... Yeah. Shield Triple Threat is bigger than Cody Roman last year. Even with everybody involved. Okay. Because whatever... There was a lot of... As much as I love Cody Rhodes... And finishing the story was very important to me. But a lot of the length in that story is like, has to do with their past and family members and stuff like that. The Shield story is them three. It's like them three, and it's a 15-year long story of three guys. You know what I mean? And yeah. And especially with him leaving, and if he came back, like, it would be so much bigger. Especially now, like, think about, like, that's the thing. We would have wanted it however long ago, but if you think about it now, it's like, part of the reason it would be so big now is, one, because we never got it, and two, because of how big the three of them have gotten, especially since Mox has left. Like,
yeah. I mean, those are three guys that are going to be top 5. They're literally top 5 every year that they wrestle. Like, regardless of what PWI list puts out, like, those guys at the end of the year, every year, they're going to be 3 of the top 5 wrestlers for that year.
Dude, they're probably 3 top 10 all time. Like, when it's all said and done, they're probably going to be 3 of the top 10 wrestlers ever.
Easily. Like, it's crazy.
It's crazy. We can't even keep talking about it.
All right, so you guys let us know your answers to those would you rather situations. Comment wherever you're listening to this or watching this and let us know. Also, if you have any suggestions for some segments that you want us to do, or you guys can shoot us some questions. We would love to answer questions from the Burning Hammer universe. Definitely, you can comment on our social media. You can DM us. You can comment on this video or any video or wherever you listen to it. Comment, leave us a review, all that good stuff, and we'll answer the questions on the podcast. So I'll move on to my tag team match, Dillon, and this is one that I've felt pretty good about for a very long time, and that's going to be a non-title match. I think non-title. I can't remember if I had both titles on the last card. Regardless, it's the Usos versus Tama and Tonga. If I didn't have the WWE tag titles, which I don't think I did, then this will be for the tag titles.
Okay.
So I think that this seems like the WrestleMania match, even post Bloodline stuff. And I think the
so. You
Usos
think
are
they
going
win
to
the
get
title?
another-
You think they win the titles back from Motor City Machine Guns then? Because they just lost.
At some point, yeah.
Okay. No,
Somehow they get on. Yeah, they get either on the Usos or they get on Tama and Tonga again. But I do think that one of those teams is going to have the tag titles, and I think that the Usos are definitely going to get another tag title run. Like I said earlier, we'll kind of get into more of the Bloodline stuff on next week's episode, so stay on the lookout for that. But, I mean, again, this is like, it feels like this is going to be the first kind of big Uso feud once they're done, or at least as done as they can be with like this Bloodline stuff, like towards the end of the year, starting at like the Royal Rumble, I think, where it's like everyone else kind of may go their separate ways-ish, where it's going to be, instead of like 4-on-4, it's then going to be Usos are now going to just be like straight feuding with Tama and Tonga.
Okay. Yeah, I like the direction you're going there, so I'll keep it on topic. My next match is similar but a little different. I've got the Usos and their younger brother, Solo Sikoa, taking on Jacob Fatu and the Tongans in six-man tribal combat.
Okay.
I think it would be... Yeah, that's where I think they're going to go. I think they eventually turn on Solo when he isn't enough, and then Solo realizes that, you know, it's always been about just being at the top. It was never about family. And that's when he joins his older brothers again. And I think his older brother, I think he's going to have to, like, convince his older brothers to, like, come to his side because of how much he's done to them. And then we'll eventually get, tribal combat with Jacob and the Tongans versus Solo and the Usos. So
Nice.
That's where I'm going with it.
You think I definitely think that is a really good direction for them to go, with Jacob Fatu kind of taking over at least part of the Bloodline, potentially turning into like the Samoan SWAT team. I think would be sick as well, to kind of get rid of this like Bloodline versus Bloodline stuff, and kind of have them be different and kind of do their own thing instead of just everyone trying to constantly have like some form of the Bloodline for the next 30 years. Like,
Yeah,
you can kind of
that
just
would
have
be
them.
cool if they let them bring back SST. Is it like owned? Is it like trademarked by MLW though?
I can't imagine.
I would hope not,
I don't know who owns it. I think that
because they brought it back originally in MLW
yeah. So
for
that's what
Jacob
I don't.
Lance and Juicy.
I don't know if anybody actually like owns the rights to that name. Someone probably does, but like I don't think. I think
would hope
if
it's-
whoever does, and it's
I
not
hope
WWE.
it's the Fatus. Yeah.
WWE will just say, "We'll give you money. Give us
Yeah,
that,"
yeah.
and they'll say, "Okay," and then so, yeah. I mean, great match, Dillon. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think they can do a lot of cool stuff with that story, and I think it would be a blast as well. And also, real quick, something that also just happened for some like news related stuff is that WWE just announced that they're doing the WWE ID, which is basically the first 3 ones that they did was the Nightmare Factory, they did Reality of Wrestling, and then Seth Rollins training school, which I forget what it's called off the top of my head. Might be like
it's
Flatback.
No, it's
Is
Black.
that, or is that Sean Spears?
Nah, yeah, I think that's Sean Spears. I think Rollins might be Black and something Academy.
Okay. So yeah, basically what they're doing is they're kind of like creating a pathway, and they're like partnering up with like various different like wrestling training schools to create like a direct pipeline for people to try to like get into WWE, which is awesome. So yeah, that's
My
something
only
cool
hope is
they're
that they
doing.
don't like essentially try to monopolize indie wrestling at this point.
Well, I don't think they will, because they're, at least Cody and Seth's are like mostly training schools, and then
yeah, they're not really
obviously like Reality of Wrestling puts on weekly shows, and they're pretty sick. But like, I think they're going like trying to get more training schools with like wrestlers, because I think they just see like, hey, we have a ton of wrestlers who are running training schools. Let's just work with them to help funnel more talent in, because that's been one of like people's bigger complaints is they throw all of this money at college athletes, and they're not fishing in the pool of professional wrestling. So I think this is a good way for them to be like, hey, we haven't forgotten about indie wrestlers or wrestlers who actually are training to become professional wrestlers, not who are college athletes. So we'll see what happens with that. I also say that because Zilla Fatu is signed with Reality of Wrestling, so that could be a potential roadway for him to get into WWE in some sort of fashion later down the line. So definitely be on the lookout for anything with that. So my next match is going to be for the Women's World Championship. And that is going to be, I had a tough time figuring out, because I think Rhea's goes into Mania as your Women's World Champion, and I was having a tough time trying to figure out who she was going to go up against. And I essentially landed on her versus Lyra Valkyria. I think that could be a fun match. Lyra's obviously really good, and I believe they have some history together in the past. So I was having a tough time coming up with who I thought Rhea was going to face for this, and I thought what better way than to face like another young talent like Lyra and have her sort of prove and show what she's made of, and have her go out there and tear the house down against Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. So that's kind of my Women's World Championship match, is Rhea Ripley defending it against Lyra Valkyria.
Yeah, I really like that, Mark. I think I have Rhea going up against Rox in my other for night one, but I didn't even. Yeah, I would really love for Lyra Valkyria to be on this card. I think her against Becky's another dark horse match potentially if we get like a Becky heel turn or something. But I really do like that. I'm gonna jump into my next match, and it's one that everyone is keeping an eye and keeping tabs and seeing what's going on with this. But I think, and I'm praying to God that this gets the justice it deserves. I've got Kofi Kingston versus Xavier Woods at WrestleMania.
Okay.
I think the New Day deserves this if they're going to break up. I think Woods deserves a kind of big Mania moment, singles win. And I think, all the history there, the talent in between the two men. I think Big E would obviously get involved in some way, whether he's like a ref or just, he would obviously be involved in some way, whether it's being a ref or trying to just keep the peace or something. But I think especially Xavier, I think is going to take off with this opportunity. And I'm really hoping that they put themselves into a situation where it can't be ignored, and it's a feud that's so hot and so personal that it has to happen at Mania.
Yeah, I think this is a match that I think if you ask any wrestling fan if they want this match, the answer is going to be yes. So I think they'd be idiots not to put this on the card. Now, if they actually do that, who knows? I'm just begging that, they actually do this and let them cook in a feud. Don't just have it happen super quick and then just all of a sudden in like a month have the match happen at WrestleMania. Like start it off in like maybe Xavier eliminates Kofi in the Royal Rumble, and then you can kind of start to build it off from there. But I think let them cook for a few months, and even if it's just one match at WrestleMania, just let them do that, and they owe it to them because they are one of, if not the greatest tag teams of all time. So, book that match, WWE, for the love of God. All right, so I have a match that you actually had for your night one, but I'm going to have it on my night two card, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but that is going to be Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. I think this is a match that I I think it's one of the ones I feel the most confident about is going to happen regardless of what night it happens on. I just happened to put it on night 2. And so I think that obviously this was the plan for last year's WrestleMania. And as two guys who went to last year's this past year's WrestleMania, I wish we would have gotten it then, but that's okay because we got a lot of great moments besides that. But I think that they're going to cook. And how this comes about, I'm more interested to see how this kind of starts again. Maybe something happens at the Royal Rumble. Maybe it's after the Royal Rumble. Obviously, CM Punk's going to be missing for who knows how long because he said he's just going to go get some rest after his feud with Drew McIntyre. So I think this is a feud that everybody wants, everybody knows is going to be fucking awesome. So WWE, they're going to give it to us, and we just got to sit back and enjoy this feud.
Yeah, I'm with you, Mark. Like you said, I had it on night 1. I had a main eventing night 1 because that's how big this feud is, I think. Even without a title, I think it deserves the main event.
So you think it would have main evented night 1 at Mania 40?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I
don't even think The Rock was involved. Well, I think...
I don't think that tag match happens...
No.
Until after Punk got hurt, and they were like, we need something for night 1.
Yeah.
The main
event.
Yeah. So, yeah, it makes sense.
So, next, my second to last match, or maybe my third to last match, I have a women's championship match, but I'm going to let you say it because I think you still have it left, right? The WWE Women's Championship?
No, that was my night 1.
Oh, Charlotte versus Tiff?
Yeah.
Okay, so I also have Charlotte versus Tiff. I just have it on night 2, so I won't go too much into that. I think everyone can get behind that match. So I'm just going to go right into my other match.
Episode if you guys want more of an explanation.
Definitely, because we talk about a lot of other matches on there. So my second to last match that I have right here is the Judgment Day taking on the Wyatt Six. In some form of some combination of people. I think Liv Morgan is involved in this match. And Nikki Cross. So I don't know the exact combination of everybody involved. I don't know who will be in the Judgment Day and who will not be in the Judgment Day at that point. But I think this is a really good way to get the Wyatt Six onto the card, along with the Judgment Day. A huge faction feud leads up to the thing, and then you get Wyatt Six with a beautiful moment at WrestleMania, most likely paying tribute to the late, great Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda. Probably street fight, I think, is maybe the way to go. I could even see them doing a Firefly Funhouse match. I'll
tell you what, there aren't going to be any rules in that match, regardless of the stipulation. It's one where there are no rules.
So I think it would be a ton of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great match. My only thing is I'm not convinced that the Judgment Day are going to end the year as a faction.
I'm with you. I'm definitely with you. I know it's like a but I'm more of, so where I went with it is I'm more like, I don't know where I think the Wyatt Six should be on the card as a team.
I think they will be.
Yeah, so I think faction versus faction makes the most sense. Maybe they go back to American Made or something at the end of the day, but we'll see what happens. Or maybe they could go with the Bloodline.
Maybe, or maybe there's a new faction that gets formed that they kind of feud with. So I'll get into my main event because we're probably going to have similar ones that are not quite the same. But for my main event, this one seems I feel the most confident about that is going to happen, and that's going to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns. They tried to give it to us last year, WrestleMania 40, but we said, nah, we don't want that right now. And then, obviously, I think we're going to get it at 41. Obviously, the story's there. I'm assuming that The Rock got more involved at Crown Jewel. Again, we are recording this prior to Crown Jewel, So I'm assuming The Rock got involved in some way, shape, or form at Crown Jewel to then build their feud into War Games. And then I think we're really going to kind of kick off this stuff with The Rock getting more involved with the Bloodline. So I think it is like the culmination of this all is Roman versus Rock. Main event, WrestleMania, Night 2, WrestleMania 41, Night 2. My only thing that I think is going to annoy me is that if they do this, that they are going to like crown this as the biggest WrestleMania main event ever. Coming
they
off
do
the
that
heels
every.
of the
I mean, they do that every year though.
Yeah, but I noticed more of Mania 40 where they really were like, especially with Triple H in the press conference, he was just like, this like was truly like, he was like, this was like the biggest event. Like it's a fact for like merchandise sales, revenue, all of that stuff. I'm just more concerned that they are going to like,
but they like break that every year. No, I'm saying
No, I know, but like, I don't know if they can break it. Like, you think 41's going to be bigger? Like revenue,
I'm pretty
sales,
sure they
all that
break
stuff?
the record from the year before, like pretty much every year. Pretty sure they just set
Makes
a new
sense.
record every year.
I think my biggest concern with it is they're going to like have the tagline and name it the biggest main event ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hopefully not. I will say that's a very Vince McMahon thing though, so hopefully Triple H doesn't. You know what I
True.
mean? Like
True.
they'll say it, but
Yeah.
hopefully they don't brand it as that. And I'll go into my main event, which is this is the one match that I said people might not be crazy about. I'm not crazy about it. I really kind of
Neither
hope
am
it
I.
doesn't happen. And that is a triple threat match between Dwayne Johnson, Roman Reigns, and Cody Rhodes for the WWE Undisputed Championship. I don't think this match needs to happen. I don't want it to happen. But I think there's a very good chance that it does. Because nobody wants to put on their big boy pants and make a decision about who is not going to be in the main event. So they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. They don't want people to be like, oh, well, but this is our big star. We have to have him in the main event. So they're going to do the cop-out that they always do, which is a triple threat. And yeah, and I'm not crazy about it, and I hope it doesn't happen, and I hope I'm wrong. But that is my prediction.
Yeah, I mean, man, that would suck. I think they kind of just need to decide, like, we're doing Cody versus Roman 3 or we're doing Rock versus Roman 1. But I do have some confidence in Triple H and Nick Khan to be like, all right, we're going to I can't decide if I would I oh no, I think there's a good chance they do Rock main eventing both nights. Rock versus Cody night 1. Rock versus Roman night 2. I didn't pick that as my official thing last week, but that was one of the options I was going with. And I think there's a pretty good chance they do that.
I hope not.
I'm with you. But I think there's like a really good shot that happens. Especially after Roman just did it last year. Like, it would suck. It would just make it like, it would really just take away from that. But I think we all can agree, except all of the Rock diehards who get a chubby every time they see The Rock wrestle. I think those are probably the only people that want this triple threat match. But I think any real wrestling fan knows, let's not do this because it's going to suck. But again, you have The Rock, who's older. If you put him in a triple threat match, he has to actually wrestle less. So that is potentially one of the things that they are going to think about. But you guys let us know, what do you think is going to main event night 2 of WrestleMania 41? Make sure to follow us on all of our social media. You can shop our merch at tpublic.com, and you can sign up for our Patreon, $1 a month. And you can sign up for the World Champion tier, ad-free content, and early content. All that stuff is linked in the description. And so, again, if you want to check out Night 1 early match card predictions, watch the previous episode, and stay tuned for next week where we're going to kind of get into the state of the Bloodline story. So, with that being said, I'm Mark Izzo, he's Dillon O'Brien, and this has been another episode of the Burning Hammer Podcast.